Gluten morning, come spend 2 days in my life as a 19-year-old bakery owner. First, I beat up 5 kilograms of butter. Sometimes I think of random scenarios that get me angry and help me beat it into blocks. Then I sandwich it between 2 sheets of dough, roll it out and fold it 3 times. This is how you get all them flaky layers. The first pastry I make is like a pan suisse, but with raspberry cream cheese and white chocolate. I actually had no plan to make these yesterday, but I had fresh raspberries and I thought, why not? Next, I make the classic croissant, or croissant. I'm not really sure how to say it, but these are so satisfying to make. The last pastry I'm making is a Marmite and cheese swirl. You will either love them or hate them, but I have some people who are Marmite haters and love these, so you never know. I get the sourdough out of the walk-in, which I do have nightmares about being trapped in, flour the tops, slit them and slide them into the oven. Alongside the classic flavours, I've also made some almond croissant-inspired sourdoughs and some fig, walnut and Stilton. These ovens used to have steam injectors, but they broke pretty quickly, so instead I use a garden spray. I'm about 5'3", so I have a lucky little footstool that helps me get to the top of the oven. Next, I take all the buns and pastries out that I made the day before. I put them in my convection oven with a tray of hot water at the bottom to proof. I then take out the sourdough bread, which looks really good, which is always such a relief because you just never know how it's going to turn out. My convection oven is then turned up. I egg wash all the buns and pastries and slide them in. More bread then goes into the deck. I make a lot of bread. I then give the focaccia a little massage with oil, rosemary and sea salt. The buns then come out and get a little apricot glaze with some pearl sugar. I like to spray the tin loaves with some water to make the crust shiny. I then have my first little snacky snack of the morning before glazing some more buns and falling in love. My mega mixer has decided to leave the chat, so I'm relying completely on my little one today. With the help of Gary, Larry, Barry and Carrie, my sourdough starters, I start mixing the sourdough. Then more pastries come out, get cooled and decorated. I then start loading everything into boxes and then into our bakery mobile, Dodo. She pretty much has the power of a hairdryer. Everything is then sold by my lovely friends. I go back, have a little snack, and then suddenly the health inspector has arrived. Like sometimes I'll make products without gluten, but they're not gluten free.
Yeah.
And I passed. I even got the highest score, which I'm so proud of. But now I am 3 hours behind and the dough is crazy. I quickly start chopping and shaping it. I did get quite tired at this point and I think my whole work pace just suddenly slowed down a lot. Health inspectors only come once every 3 years and I think the high and adrenaline from their visit had definitely worn off. Many of you have asked if I have a team and if you can see them, and the answer is I actually work alone, so I'm a solo baker, which apart from times like this where I could definitely do with some extra hands, I do really love. Don't get me wrong, I do love being with people and I'm very lucky to have a big group of family and friends who I love spending time with, but I also just really love spending time with myself and alone. It kind of refuels me for life. I've started baking a bit more with saffron, which is so much fun because when you look at it, it just looks like a really deep red, but whatever you use it in turns such a gorgeous yellow. I like to soak all the raisins for my Chelsea buns in tea. This adds an extra flavour, but also means that the raisins get super nice and plump. Next, I do the milk chocolate and pistachio buns. These are definitely the kids' favourite and I love that. Also, I'm not really sure why, but please ignore my weird humming. I wasn't even conscious that I was doing this until editing my video. The last bun I make are these cinnamon nuts. I think I could make these with my eyes closed. I've made them so many times now. And then the last job of the day are these cheesecake swirled brownies. I've been making these for the last couple of weeks and I think I make them just so I get to do this. Finally, I set the ovens for the next day, so then in the morning they'll be on and I can bake straight away. This might sound super corny, but sometimes I really struggle to sleep because I get so excited to bake everything I made. I am definitely a morning person, but I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Like, I'm not sure if I really like mornings because I'm baking, or if I really like baking because I love mornings. Oh my gosh, that was such a boring sentence. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna shut up and you can just watch me bake for a while. Okay, I'm back. So after baking, the bannettons are pretty wet, so I put them on a shelf stacked on top of one another to dry. Then we do the same as yesterday. We take all the buns and pastries out and then we put them in the convection oven, which is not on, but has a tray of hot water underneath to prove. The brownies are in the fridge overnight and then I slice them up. I also have a lot of brownie scraps which I cut into chunks and give to my queue for snacks. Sometimes when I open the deck, lots of steam comes out and I feel like it gives me a facial. I say that, I've never actually had a facial before, but I think that's what it would feel like. One of the things I love most about being a baker, that's not eating all your produce obviously, is getting to watch dawn. I mean, honestly, it's so beautiful. I then turn the convection oven back up. I have forgotten to do this before and put all the buns and pastries into an ambient oven and then been like, why are they not baking? Anyway, I have turned it up today. I then take the tin loaves out. These guys are heavy. Also, why do I keep doing that? I've never done this before. I'm so sorry. I know you guys don't want to see my tongue, but you might want to watch these loaves get their shiny crust. Oh, and in case you were wondering, you probably weren't, but in case you were, the glaze I use is just apricot jam and water with like a 50-50 ratio. This poor little croissant has come straight from the oven, and I know I should let it cool because pure chaos, but I have very little patience, and look at that! I then leave the pastries out on a rack to have a little tan. Being the ginger vampire that I am, I stay inside, cut up some strawberries and make some chocolate dipped strawberry inspired muffins. If I'm honest, I'm only making them because I found these muffin casings online and they were just too cute not to use. I then decorate the rest of the buns, add some chocolate ganache and freeze-dried raspberries to the muffins, load everything up into dough. I'm a little late at this point, but luckily we got brownie pieces for Q snacks, so I think we'll be good. Everything's then unloaded and sold. I then go home, have a nap and take this guy with me.